I've been racing pigeons for over 40 years, and this is one of the strangest lessons I've ever learned. And it came from a dirty loft, and it stopped Canker dead. Now, I want to tell you a bit of a story. This is one of those believe it or not kind of stories. This one goes back a fair while, probably 30, 35 years ago. And yeah, before you ask, I've been racing pigeons a long time. I'm 76 now. I only started this YouTube channel about a year ago when I was 75. It's been a big learning curve for me, but honestly, I've enjoyed it. If you've enjoyed it too, hit that button down below. Whenever I bred youngsters back then, or really whenever my stock birds bred them, most of the young birds would come down with canker in the nest. I tried all the usual treatments. They helped a bit, but nothing really got on top of it. I used to check every youngster in the nest when they're around that 7 to 10 days old. But when you've got 30 or 40 youngsters on the go, that's a lot of mucking around and it's a lot of work. And I'm doing it just about every day, and even then, it was very easy to miss one or two. Now, one day, I was having a chat with a mate. He told me he had a pair of very good stock birds, but every time they bred, their youngsters got canker. In the end, he decided to get rid of them. So he gave them to an older fancier. Now, here's the strange part. When that older fancier bred from those same birds, he never got canker in the youngsters at all, not once. So I asked my mate, how does that work? Did the old bloke treat them with something? He said no. All the old guy did was put them in his stock loft and let them breed. Now, this old chap, he'd been in the Army Corps during the war, and he only kept an old local strain of pigeons, and he didn't give them anything fancy, just feed and water. And he never cleaned his loft. We both figured there had to be something in that loft that was helping to stop canker in those young birds in the nest. Shortly after that, I was over at another fancier's loft with a mutual friend of ours. He had good pigeons, but he'd pretty much given up on racing. Looking around his loft, I noticed he didn't bother cleaning it anymore. And I asked him if he had any problems with canker. He said no. And the other chap that was with us, the mutual friend, he said they had eliminated any bird that bred canker many years ago. Now, I remember thinking, yeah, that's one way to do it, but I'd have to eliminate practically all my stock, so that wasn't going to happen. We went over to the mutual friend's loft. I noticed he also had deep litter as well, but his was well managed. He'd clearly removed the main build-up of droppings and had raked over the dry remainder. And once again, he wasn't having any problem with canker. I asked him if I could have a bucket of his dry droppings and took them home with me. I wanted to put them into my stock loft, but I was a bit reluctant when I got home. What if I brought in something nasty, something like E. coli, or even worse, salmonella? After a week or so of humming and hawing, I decided I would go ahead. So I put a small tin of those dry droppings in both sides of the stock loft. I still remember to this day, those pigeons came down and started picking through those droppings, just like I'd given them grain. I waited a couple of days, they all looked fine. So I gave them a little bit more and waited again. Nothing out of the ordinary. They all looked good. So I kept going. Now here's the strange believe it or not part. When I bred from my stock birds that first year, I never got a single youngster with canker in the nest. Believe it or not, it's a fact. Now why would that be? I really don't know. Pigeons are flock birds. They rely on the flock for survival. Any bird that gets sick will die, and every bird is connected to the others through that close contact. They can even make their nests out of dry droppings. So I think they pass that flock immunity to one another through that close contact. What one has, the rest have. They develop a kind of community immunity. Any bird that can't handle it will die, and the rest will build up their immunity, and that allows them to live as part of that flock. Now, there's an old saying, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. Now, I want to show you something. But first, everyone tells me I'm consistent. In the last 11 years, I've won my Fed averages 7 times, and I've been close up on the other years. Now, I don't say that to brag. Well, maybe a little. But the point is, I've been consistent because I always do the same things, and this is one of them. You've probably been in my loft before, and you would have noticed that the floor level is down here, and there's a couple of steps up to the suspended floor. The reason I've got a suspended floor is so that I can put these wire grids underneath the perches and all the droppings fall through there. So now if we look down there, you can see the droppings build up, and every now and again I have to take that top layer of droppings off, and that's what I wanted to show you today. So if I get the bucket, if I put the bucket under there like that and break these droppings up, take a slice of them out. Now you can see that those droppings there, they're the fresh droppings that have just been done in the last, well, whatever weeks it's been, even some today of course. Now they're all dry. That's the point I'm trying to make. And if we look down there, you can see, if I can scroll down a bit, if you look down there you can see the droppings underneath are very dry. I find this is very important for my pigeons, that all those dry droppings there, they act like a bit of a moisture sink. Now the other thing I can do, like I said before, I've been very consistent in my racing results, and one of the things I can do to ensure that each generation that comes across has the same immune system as the previous one, I can take some of those old droppings, take a handful like that. There's a bit of grain in that one, so I usually look around to find some that doesn't have old grain in it. So I'll find some old droppings like that from down the bottom that I know are from a generation of successful pigeons, because these pigeons have won the averages the last 2 years, so I know there's nothing really wrong with them. So I can take a handful of droppings like that, put it out on the floor, and that way this generation of pigeons will get the same immune system as the previous one. So that's one little thing I do to maintain that consistency from 1 year and one generation to the next. So this is more like an area where I would take some of the dry droppings. You can look down. So there's a lot of grit being spilt down there, so the combination of grit and the dry droppings, that's more like what I'd be looking to put out on the floor. I'll put some of that out there. So it's a good combination of dry droppings and grit. They can have a good pick through that when they come through. So when I bring the youngsters over, that's what I do. I put some of that out every now and again and pick through it and let them pick up whatever the previous generations have, and hopefully they'll perform like the previous generations. Now I'm not telling you to go out and get some dry droppings from someone else's loft. That can be a very, very dangerous thing to do. You could bring a bug back into your loft which will set your loft back for years. But I do think it's a good idea to give your stock birds, and particularly your youngsters, access to dry droppings. Dry droppings from your own loft, dry droppings from years, particularly years when you have a good year, good returns, good results. This all helps to build up their natural immunity, and it cuts down on the use of medication, and it lets them develop that community immunity. Now, that's what I've done, and that's what's worked for me. I'm not telling anyone to copy it, but there's something worth thinking about. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, and thanks for watching.